investigation also. So what's your perspective and take on the overall climate change and how sea is coming and how do we mitigate?
Welcome back on day two of Dawn's Breathe Pakistan conference, and we continue our conversations on issues relating to climate change. Now, I think one of the key features that we're noticing is that private sector is beginning to contribute much more in the last 2 to 3 years. I think in the aftermath of the floods that we had in 2022, but also generally a lot of initiatives have shown up. And telecom companies in particular, they have a larger than life presence in Pakistan. They have access to, and they're a public facing sector as well. And Jazz, which is a part of the WION group, as the largest telecom provider in Pakistan, has been instrumental in connecting people. Today we have with us Syed Fakhar, who is the Chief Regulatory Officer at Jazz, and he himself has been vocal about sustainability and climate. And we can start off with his views about climate change in general, the impacts the world is facing, and Pakistan particularly.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we'll just start off that Jazz is a Beyond Group company, and we are more than a telecom company. We are more of a digital company, a service provider, a service co, and we do a lot of other things other than telecom, which is fintech and other apps, etc. So that is the introduction of the company. More importantly, we are truly committed to environmental and social governance, and we are trying our best to fulfill our responsibilities in this regard. Giving the overall perspective of climate change, so the climate change is something which is, I think, the biggest issue, I would say, the world is facing. There are three pillars where we have to see that on one side, the industrialization, the technology companies, the economic quest of gaining more economical advantage, industrialization, etc., etc. So they are the biggest consumers of the, I would say, natural resources, including the fossil fuels. A lot of power required to run the industry and the economy and the technology. And then there has to be a responsibility of all the sectors which contribute to a certain economies, whether it's a technology company or an industrial company or a manufacturing concern. So these companies have to net off the carbon footprint on the planet. Now, on the other side, it is also the responsibility of the community, citizens at large, to contribute to mitigate the impacts of climate change. And if you see, there are two major factors of climate change. One is the water, and the other is air, which is essential for life, flora and fauna. It establishes the ecosystem. And in the center is one thing, which is the green gases, the ecosystem of forest, trees, agriculture, and it drives all our food chain. So on one side, once we consume natural resources for sustaining life on planet Earth, then we also use the same natural resources to generate economy, whether it's in the field of technology, industry, or anything else. So there has to be a balance, and the balance has to be done now. The world is too late. Over a period of centuries, and I think we have depleted the water resources, we have depleted on our forest resources, we have depleted our natural pool of flora and fauna, the plant and other animal species which create the balance in the ecosystem. So all of this needs to be fixed. Now the question is how it is going to be fixed. That is something which you have to look at.
And regarding the question of how, I think corporate actions here become very important. I know that I've seen WION Group sustainability report, and of course, Jazz, as part of it, is taking a lot of initiatives. I would just, ask about what are your focus areas when you talk about climate change mitigation or sustainability, the steps that Jazz has taken in country context, and what are some of the plans that you want to execute as part of those initiatives as well?
Okay, so coming down straight to Jazz and beyond, first of all, for going for sustainability and mitigating climate change, there has to be a commitment. So the number one point is we are committed as a company, OPCO of WION, and WION as a group is committed fully to the climate change action. And we are part of the GSMA, Climate Change Task Force, and we are working towards the net zero project, which globally all the technology companies had vowed to be net zero on carbon emissions by 2050 or earlier, if possible. So for that, Jazz its own capacity, we are working on multiple fronts, where on one side we are creating awareness, we are engaging with the youth, we have early warning systems plan. We have partnered with Google and other organizations where we can develop early warning systems for floods and other similar catastrophes which occur because of the climate change. We are into tree plantation. We are going for paper-free environment. So smaller initiative, midline initiative, and larger initiatives. On the larger initiative, I would say the biggest one is the use of power and energy, which power our technology, which power our set site, which power our data centers, which keeps our data centers cool. So that is one big factor in the technology world, which is energy consumption. And energy is coming from fossil fuels. Most of the energy in this part of the world is either coming from furnace oil or gas or coal, and the use of renewable energy is not so rampant or it's not so common. But Pakistan as a country is going towards solarization, and so is Jazz. We have plans. We are already going bit by bit wherever we can. We are putting in solar. We have a solarization plan. We are also pushing for the quest for using more renewable energy. We are also looking for low energy solutions, cost-efficient energy solutions, which has lesser impact on the fossil fuel-based energy. So that is, I think, that's the biggest impact which technology companies can mitigate if we try to follow. Now, the second line is what we are doing with the communities. So obviously, for communities, there are two areas. One is where we can help in climate impact areas, which torrential rains, for example, which causes flood. This is because of the climate change. So we try and go and help the communities, and we try to mitigate those things by early warnings, by putting in support. So there is a social cause also and a commitment to sustainability. On the other side, we are also going for Green Pakistan. So we are member of the Core Alliance with many multinationals which are working for both awareness as well as reforestation, afforestation, and awareness on the Green Pakistan initiative, which has multiple impacts. We are engaging youth for awareness. So it's a whole set of chain where they start from commitment to motivation to physical actions, whether to short-term, mid-term, and long-term. So that is how we are now working, and as the time grows, we will continue to grow. For example, this particular event in Pakistan on climate change by Dawn Media Group, I think this is a very big initiative which Dawn Media Group has taken, and I'm happy to see that there has been participants from the World Bank and the UN and the IUCN and the WWF and very notable green organization. The Ministry of Climate Change and Environment is also involved. So I think this is a serious affair where serious brains have come together. They are talking solutions for Pakistan, and we have to work fast on it. And the time for too much thinking and time for too much planning, I think we don't have that. It's not the question at what will we do. The question is what are we doing now? So that is the urgency of the matter, and I think we all are committed to it.
In the, I think the last few minutes, I would like to ask you that, given that you've touched upon the subject of communities, youth, and urgency, and where the urgency exists because we think about the youth as well, what is your message to young people, how to reform our lifestyles, or what to do to really make sure that we're taking collective action towards improving?
First of all, I would like to just mention the situation. The situation is that Pakistan, in terms of its landmass, is less than 5% of forest cover, in which only 1% is natural forest, whereby our neighbors, India, for example, China, they are going above 15–16% of their land cover, which is natural forest. So these forests and these greens are essential for your food chain. They are the protectors of flora and fauna, pollination, bees comes in there, insects are there. The subsoil water table, they are maintained because of trees and green areas. And you have more, snow in the mountains. If we have more green areas, more forests, you have better regulated rains. You have lesser landslides. So all of it combined together. Your glaciers are not melting. You know, if you have high altitude trees like birch trees and all those kinds of species. So that is the first thing, that we are on the edge of a climate disaster. So that message has to be conveyed to the youth, and the importance of it, that how important it is to have a clean, green, climate-friendly Pakistan. So that is the first message, that people should understand how important it is. Secondly, we have 250 million people in Pakistan to feed. To run their food chain, climate change is the biggest factor. You need water, you need clean air, you need forest, you need trees, you need bees, which works for pollination of the plants. So it's a whole chain. So that is one. Then the other thing is carbon monoxide, other than carbon dioxide, which goes in there because of your industries, because of your vehicles, because of your traffic. So that needs to be controlled. So there has to be, first, an awareness about it. Secondly, people should know that if we have a green and clean Pakistan, we have a better future. Because in that case, we have both kinds of resources. We will have more natural resources for the people to consume and sustain life, and we have more resources for the industries available to consume and grow in terms of economy. But both the segments of the society, where there's a people and there's a industry and technology, both have to offset their carbon footprint. So both have certain sets of responsibilities. And it's not that the one set blames the other, that people are not doing right waste management, they are not doing the right water management, they are cutting trees, they're timber mafias, etc. And so these side of the people, they are blaming the policies and the industries that are consuming too much fossil fuels for their energy. Their carbon footprint is very high. Companies are not offsetting their carbon footprint. Carbon credit is not that widely introduced in Pakistan. So we have to also see that, Pakistan should encourage its industries and others to go for carbon credits. And then youth should be encouraged, start to beginning with planting just one tree.
Yes.
So every school, every college, every university, if the children and the youngsters and the youth, they start to plant trees and spread this message. So I think these simple initiatives can start to go for a green and clean Pakistan, and that will impact widely for everybody.
To summarize, that relies on responsibility, then having a strong commitment, both medium and long term, and then acting upon it.
Yes.
So I think that's a fairly valid observation, and I'm glad to see that there's deep thinking involved in this entire process. So glad to have you here, glad to be part, have you on the conversations, and I hope you have a good time at the conference as well.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a great conference, a lot of good learning, a lot of thoughts coming in with very high-end brains, professionals, academia, media, and environmental experts.
Great.
So we are happy to be here and part of this event, both as participants and co-sponsors in our humble capacity.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And stay tuned for more.